I'm Internet, welcome back to the shop. So this is interesting, we got a leak coming from somewhere, and I'm looking at the water pump. This is a water pump drain, and it's not that. But I can, oh God, it's the gasket. It's the gasket on the fucking water pump. There it is. All right, so we got a leaky water pump. That isn't good. It's actually a lot more involved than I originally thought to pull the entire water pump out. But what I'm thinking is, if I can just get this cover off, check the ring inside of it, I'll actually just replace it with that one. I think I might be able to just pull this cover off here, try replacing that ring to see if I can do this without having to remove the entire water pump, because I mean what the manual's calling for is actually getting a jack up under here and pulling the through bolts from the engine and actually kind of lifting it a little bit, and I don't want to do that if I don't have to. If I can get away with just replacing this this O-ring under here, then that would be a whole lot easier than raising the engine. All right, Honda, I've defended you quite a bit in the past, but this is pretty goddamn ridiculous what you got to do just to get this cover off of the water pump. All they had to do was figure out a way to not have this kickstand interfere. Instead, it's a whole goddamn ordeal. Luckily, I had the same issue with this that I'm having with this, and I had to get a hammer in between there, and actually you could see where I had to knock through. I couldn't pull it off. I was just twisting the entire water pump inside of it. If I had to pull the water pump out, I don't know that I could right now. I'm just gonna hope that putting in this new O-ring here is going to resolve my issues. I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know if I know how to put it back together. Fuck me. I'm Internet, welcome back to the shop. I have been binging the shit out of the YouTube channel, The Workshop. If you haven't watched it, go. It's awesome. Anyway, so I'm gonna run the bike here. I did a water pump gasket, or yeah, the big O-ring inside of it replacement, because I noticed that I was getting a bunch of leaking from right up here. I'm hoping this works. I'm a little freaked out that this thing's just gonna leak and I'm gonna end up having to redo all of that. Let's see if we get started. Give her some gas. Oh, and the other thing I want to do is, if I do not find a leak, I want to see how close my bench sync was. I don't know that I'm actually going to try to synchronize the carburetors, actually, because this is somebody else's. I'm going to make them be here when I'm doing it so they can read the dials off to me so I don't have to get up and down off the ground 178 times. Headlight is now working. Badass. Okay, make sure my choke there. God, it got cold quick. I want to see how much more coolant I can get in there as well. I told myself I was going to move that and I didn't. Not seeing a leak yet. Oh, I'll wait a while though. It didn't present itself right away last time. I'm not seeing a leak present itself after I wiped it. I mean, it was still pretty messy from before. But I'm gonna get this bike hot. See how much more. I can't. I was hoping. I want to get it hot enough that the thermostat opens up, so I can see if I can get more coolant in it. Damn, I gotta get the radiator cap on. See, I'm still getting bubbles coming out, but I actually need to get this a little bit warmer. And I'm gonna throw the vacuum gauges on it just to see where I'm at. Where the hell did I put, oh, there it is. Just to see where I'm at on that bench sync, because honestly, this feels pretty good. There's this little bit of hesitation. I don't know how much of it is because the bike isn't fully warm. I didn't actually see the temp gauge start rising up. I was hoping to see that. I did before though, so I haven't changed anything on there. I'll get this on and I'll get the vacuum gauges out and let's just see. I'm pretty damn sure that's not leaking anymore. I think that O-ring fixed it. So what I mean by bench sync is seeing how closely I got all the butterflies lined up, and doing a bench sync is using a little piece of, this is a paper gasket. Anyway, getting it under the butterflies, adjusting the synchronization screws off of 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, trying to get them all to open at the exact same time. To really synchronize this, you're gonna have to get under there and hit the sync screws, which I'm just not gonna do right now. It's way too difficult. I mean, it's not too difficult, it's just not something I'm gonna do right now. I wanna see how close my bench sync got. So what I did is I went around, took off all the port sync screws, and then I set up this vacuum sync gauge. I've got another video on how to do this, so if you're actually curious, go watch that one. What is that? Oh, what in the fuck? Why did... This starter button is crazy, man. I gotta take that thing apart and grease it. Should be warm. You know what? I like it better when I've got safety glasses on. Oh my. Not bad. That is not bad at all. It's not perfect. This is the hardest synchronization screw to hit. 2 is by far the hardest. 4 you can't change. 4 you change with the idle set screw. Then you set the rest of them to that. This, we don't even have to synchronize this. It's close enough. I'm sending this to my buddy. I can't believe it hit that close. I mean, it's not perfect. Trust me, you could get it better, but this isn't like balancing the inline 4 where the sync screws are so easy to hit. You could hit them all dialed in perfect. This one is such a bear to do. Oh, I'm happy with this. Thank you, Captain 80s on the VFR World forums for that tip about using the gasket paper. I just nailed this bench sync. This is as good as I could have asked for. I'm thrilled about that. Oh. You have to turn the fuel on or the motor won't run. You need fuel. So I was looking for a morale boost on this project because I've just been hitting so many snags, and you know what? I decided put the tank back on it. It looks awesome with the tank. Rejuvenated. I'm excited. I introduced new variables that we have to address at some point anyway. So I do not know anything about the fluid pump, whether or not it works. About to find that out. I've got it plugged in, and I spliced in a new piece of fuel hose. Maybe I should replace the rest of them, but just want to see if I can get it running. I'm going to roll this thing outside. No idea if this is going to work, but there is some fluid in the bowl, so I know I'm going to be able to get it started. Whether or not it continues to run is going to be the question. This was manually converted to This was converted to a manual petcock from vacuum by somebody else, not me. But I can see that they did it, so I'm gonna check if it worked. I noticed something else, that I had my coolant level up to the upper previously, and when I went and checked this just a couple minutes ago, it was all the way down, way below the lower. So I may not be looking to actually pull that much more coolant into it. It may have actually pulled a bunch of it from the reserve in already. So I may be close to my coolant level, but I'm still not going to put the front fairing on because I'm not going to do that for the 4th time today just to find out that I'm going to need it again. Unfortunately, I have to get this thing up to running temperature, and I have to check if the fan works, and I have to know that the thermostat opens to know that I have the thing fully full of coolant. So unfortunately, this thing's gonna need to get ridden at some point, but we got fucking snow on the way, so it's not gonna happen, you know, today. The first politician that runs on daylight savings being permanent, I don't care what their policy is, I'm just gonna vote for him. So I'm gonna be running 2 tests here. I'm testing 1, if the reserve on that modification to the petcock works, and 2, if the fuel pump works. I could test them individually. I don't want to right now. I'm just gonna fucking gun it and see if it works. Not gun it, but try it. So I've got about maybe 3/4 of a gallon of gas in there. I've got it set to reserve. So fuel should be to here. If the pump kicks on, it should fire up. Wow, I did that backwards. Comes from here, then through the tank, and then into the carburetors. All that's hooked up, new barb in there, that new line. Let's see if it, well, it should start because there's fluid in the bowls, but if it doesn't run very long, then I know I got an issue with the fuel pump or the delivery from the petcock. So I gotta leave this run for, what time do we got? 6:23, 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes, it should run itself out of the bowls. God, I just had a minor heart attack. I thought my water pump was leaking. So if you run these things, especially in the winter or when there's high humidity or just anything like that, you end up getting condensation coming out of the exhaust, especially when you're running it choked like I am right now. And I thought I had an issue with my truck in the past. If you see condensation under the mufflers, there's oftentimes a weep hole. I think there's usually a weep hole inside the collector under here, but this one seems to be dripping from under there. But that's just water. It's not the pump leaking. But yeah, I just saw it dripping and I wanted to die, but I don't have to die yet. Alrighty, it's been 10 minutes. For sure the float bowls have been drained, so that means that the fuel tank petcock is working and the fuel pump is working. Good deal. I'll set it up. I'm running out of things that I got to do without putting money into it. There's one last thing that I can think of, like major thing that I need to do, and that is take off the rear caliper and completely go through it and clean it. I just didn't do it because it wasn't high priority. I wanted to get it running and all that other kind of shit first. Besides that, I mean, cosmetically, the whole thing's a disaster. But luckily, the owner is anal as shit about, you know, aesthetics, so he'll deal with that. I'm not touching it. I'm not even gonna take the dust off the fucking mufflers. The next big thing, I'm gonna start petitioning and putting together a list of what he needs to do. Chain and sprockets is a big one. I recommend going up to the exact same tires, but getting new ones. I think I checked the date on these. These things are like 2012 or something, so no bueno. I mean, it'll be good enough to test it around. I haven't been able to test whether or not the thermostat and the fan work. I can't get it warm enough, and I just don't feel like trying to idle for a half hour. I think we've got the coolant pump leak fixed. I can't believe it, but I think we did. We have to deal with the drain plug, the oil leak under it, which involves draining the entirety of the oil. But I have a new filter and I want to put new oil. Well, this is new oil, but I didn't change the filter. I just wanted to run it for a bit and then dump all the oil. I just didn't want to throw away, you know, 20 bucks worth of oil for nothing. So yeah, that's it. We're on our way. The next time somebody asks me if a VF500F is a good first bike, I'm just going to laugh. Because it's an awesome second bike. It's a fantastic third bike. It's one of the worst first bikes you could ever buy.